God bless everyone out there in Radio Land. This is Barry and Karen coming to you live again. I always say that.
I think you like saying that.
I think I like saying live. It's a pre-recorded podcast. Of course, when you get it, it's going to be pre-recorded.
Yeah.
This is Dare to Be Different podcast.
Yeah.
By the time you get it, it will be pre-recorded. So yeah, we're here tonight just to share with you some things that we're always willing to share. Happy. Well, I think today is Tuesday.
Yeah.
We had Monday because I was off Monday. I think we had a podcast. Did we have a podcast today? I don't think so. No.
Yeah, we had a cast.
We had a cast. Cast demons about because we had a podcast. Yeah, we had an attack. Yeah, we had an attack by the enemy. We said that you always going to have an attack right after the work, after the message.
We're gonna change that. We not gonna get attacked tonight.
No, we ain't getting attacked tonight. Forget that.
No.
We got the victory.
Yes.
And we got the victory in Jesus. So we thank God tonight that we have.
We were just tested for the words.
Yeah, we were tested.
We was tested.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We were tested. Like I say, well, happy Tuesday to all you. I know a lot of you. My week actually it was a Monday for me because my work week starts Tuesdays. I go Tuesday through Saturday. So and she goes, hers is variables.
Yeah, mine is happy Tuesday.
Yeah, happy Tuesday. Yeah, she off tomorrow. So we're actually getting a podcast in. We won't do one tomorrow because we'll be in church. Usually by the time we do it, it'll be time for us to go to church.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say something too. Speaking of doing recordings, I know those that probably have been interested in Periscope, we hadn't really been doing it that much.
No.
And because of the fact is that a lot of it, because we're doing video already, and then we like to kind of do it a little different. So what we probably will do more so is not so much our just to be honest, our signals is just horrible where we are.
Yeah.
And until they fix that, we won't be probably doing too many.
But not in the park.
Yeah, not outside. No.
Yeah.
We'll probably do them like in a place that has actual Wi-Fi, like not like where we are now. We use the Wi-Fi where we are and we don't use our network while we're inside.
Mm-hmm.
But once we use it, once we're in a place like maybe, like I say, we'll do it somewhere where we're nowhere near Wi-Fi. We'll do that. But anyway, we'll try to do better in that area and work on that because that's the only thing about that. We don't really use it that much because now we're doing it more on YouTube, and a lot of videos are going on YouTube, so we have that kind of thing. So, but we'll share with you all that later. We want to get to the thing tonight because it's an interesting topic, and I hope that it really sparks you to comment, to express your opinion, to whatever the case might be. Because tonight we're going to start something called toxic relationships.
Yes.
What are toxic relationships?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to deal with that tonight because it came up in a conversation that we have a lot of different conversations that we have pertaining to things. And one of the things that we was talking about, and I said, well, babe, maybe we should get into the subject of toxic conversation.
Yes.
Toxic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And we got in a conversation to talking about that. So I'll say, yeah, you got toxic conversations too. We talked about that last week. But but this today, the scripture that I'm basically going to use is going to be coming from a message that I actually ministered on when I was at my old church.
Mm-hmm.
I taught this as a lesson. One of our midweek services, I taught this. And the title of it was Your Blessing Will Come When You Get Out. And I was talking about Abraham getting out of Ur of the Chaldees.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to read the scripture based on that.
Mm-hmm.
If you hear that noise in the background, that's not our children. It's not ours. Believe me, it's not ours. That's somebody else's kid.
Yeah.
where we live, they actually pass by and hit the child on the way by, that kind of thing. So if you hear it, with hopefully we edit and get rid of that. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're coming from Genesis with the story of Abraham when he left Ur Chaldeans. Well, actually, I explain that. I'm gonna read just the text itself and then I'm gonna go into the background.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna read Genesis 12, 1-4, and then I'm gonna read again, not the whole thing, but read just a couple of it in the Amplified verses. It says, "Now the Lord has said unto Abraham, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee and all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years when he parted out of Haran. Now, and he also took his wife, Sarai's wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all the substance that they had, and gathered the souls, and they had gotten into Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into Canaan they came. Now, I'm going to read this in Amplified, because there's one particular scripture that I wanted to share. I want to share that the way it said it.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, this ain't the one. I need the old one. Because they got two different amplifiers. This is a current, and I want to get the old, this is the classic edition. This is where it said it. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. It said Genesis in 12:1 in the Amplified, the classic version says, "Now in Haran, the Lord has said to Abram, Go for yourself from your own advantage, away from your country, from your relatives, and from your father's house to a land that I will show you." Now I'm going to leave it right there. Go for yourself, for your own advantage.
Wow.
Do this. Away from, number one, the place of your residence, the place where you were born, the area where you dwelt. 2, away from the people that were connected to you by blood. And 3, from the authority that you were under. So we're going to deal with that. Yeah. Toxic relationships. Well, first of all, we're going to find out what toxic means. So my wife lovingly pulled up the dictionary.
Yeah.
And so we're going to find out what toxic means. I think you already looked it up, didn't you? Yeah. And then we're going to talk about based on the definition, what a toxic relationship is. So, Oh God, I smacked. Why I do that? I'm sorry, y'all. We was talking about the reason why I apologize because I know that don't come across good.
No, it don't.
And because I heard somebody was talking about that on a podcast, and then I thought about it. I said, "Oh God, that's the first time and only time you ever hear that noise." Okay, now it said, toxic means it's an adjective. It means pertaining to and affected with and caused by a toxin or poison, a toxic condition, acting or having the effects of a poison, poisonous, causing unpleasant feelings, harmful or malicious. Pertaining to and noting debt that will probably not be repaid. Toxic mortgage. That's crazy. Pertaining to a financial instrument or an asset that has no value or unknown value because there is no market for it. So in the noun, it says a toxic chemical or other substance. The original word actually meant to literally bow poison, bow poison, i.e. poison used on arrows. That's what they use to get the word toxic. So toxic is basically poisonous. Something that is poisonous, or causing unpleasant feelings, harmful or malicious. So if you're in a relationship that causes unpleasant feelings, harmful or malicious, that might be a toxic relationship. If you're really, every time you get around this person, they affect you in a negative way.
Right.
Because they got a lot of people that have relationships that affect them in negative ways, but for some reason they can't get loose from it. But that's a whole different thing, because there's a difference. There's two types of people. There's the codependent.
Right.
There's the independent. And there's the interdependent.
Yes.
So the codependent is the person that is dependent upon another person for their self-worth or value. So their dependency like, say for example, she was dependent. She would depend on me for her self-worth.
Right.
She wouldn't have any self-worth to want to depend on, so she would have to depend on me in order for her to feel worth anything.
Yeah.
Now my wife's the second one, independent. Independent is basically a person that have no need of dependency from anyone.
No, not at all.
Not at all. They stand on their own. They don't really need your help.
Yes,
really.
Lord, yeah.
So when I met my wife, she was independent.
Oh yeah.
So, and we were both independent because we were both single. She was raising kids on her own. I had never raised any children, and I came into this family totally not knowing what to do. Yeah. It's like, you just, boop, there it is. That's the family. Good luck, buddy. It's kind of how it goes. I mean, get this counseling, hey, how do you become a dad? How you become a husband? It's like, boop, y'all married. Good luck, man. We praying for you.
Get with the program.
Yeah. We praying for you, bro. There you go. We got you back, way back there.
Yeah.
So anyway, the fact is that then the third one is interdependent, which means that you have a dependency within that's intertwined. It's more like a marriage. We're interdependent. That means our dependencies are intertwined. So it's a community. Right. The only one out of the three that really is bad is the codependent. You see a lot of that going on, and that's a toxic situation.
Yes,
that's a toxic situation. And we had when we was talking about this, we had a perfect example of that happening today. That solidifies codependency.
Yes.
When you seem not to be able to depend on someone else for your worth to be validated.
Right.
I don't need my wife to depend on my wife for me to have self-worth.
That's it.
Because she doesn't, and vice versa.
Right.
She has to have her own self-worth. She has to be, by her being independent, that helps.
Yeah.
And when we're independent, sometimes now it can be there can be good and bad in all three of them, really.
Right. Yes, it can.
in the codependent, the positive side, if there is a positive side to codependency, which I don't think it is, but if you're codependent, it's not hard for you to depend on other people for them to help you or to your self-worth, but you'll constantly have to always do that.
Yeah, and that could be a strain, you know, because let's see, this say if I was like that, that would wear you out.
Yeah.
That would wear you out. That mean, like every other day, you'd have to tell me I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
And you pretty. And I can't look in the mirror and find something, even if it might not be looks.
Yeah.
You know, I should be able to find something within myself to say, well, okay, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a good cook. Yeah. Or I'm a, you know, or
but she is a good cook, y'all.
Or this, yeah. And you know, there's something where you can just have, you know, validate yourself. Because even like with you, I say, well, hey, I know you're good on computers. You can do this. You can do that. So I mean, it's all kind of ways where nobody shouldn't have to come tell you every time you turn. That's a burden.
That is. It's an interesting definition that they give for codependent. Codependent means of and relating to a relationship in which one person is physically or psychologically addicted as to alcohol or gambling, and the other person is psychologically dependent on the first in an unhealthy way.
Wow.
So if there, say for example, say if I was a womanizer and gambled and drank and just, you know, knocked her from one wall to another, and she just stayed with me.
Yeah.
Just being dependent on me psychologically, basically. It's in a psychological, what we would call in the Christian world, a soul tie.
Yeah.
Because basically the soul contains the mind and will and emotions. So you're psychologically or you're soulishly connected to this person to the point where you feel like it's an unhealthy relationship because they're not doing anything good for you.
No, they not.
If they're doing all this stuff, they're not benefiting your relationship, and you have to be around them, and you have to take care of them, and you have to do stuff for them, and you have to get them out of jail, and you have to cut for them when they go do their drugs, and
oh no,
that's unhealthy. That's toxic.
It's very toxic.
You can't, and that's codependent, and you can't be codependent to anyone. That's unhealthy. So we give an example of that. We saw this today. And it's sad.
It is very sad.
But we saw this today.
Yeah.
We were on our way to we was on our way to wash. I went outside to put the clothes in the car, and they had this guy who was actually just going off on these two women. He was in this girl's face. He was just in her face, just going off. And they had the lady that was standing out there. I guess a mother and that had two children out there, and so he was just going just smooth off on this girl. So she walks away and she goes, I guess, do something. My wife saw the girl later on because now mind you, just I gotta give you the description so you gotta draw the picture. I don't want to be too long with it, but I want to draw the picture so you can get an idea of what we talking about. This guy that we talking about, he's kind of ragged looking. He got a hoodie on. And it's hot out here in Texas.
90-some degrees.
It's 90-something. I was sweating.
And he had long sleeves and a hoodie.
He had a long sleeve hoodie. He had a one of them cloth like sweatsuit hoodies, like, you know, jailhouse hoodie. So he had a hoodie on, a red hoodie, gray pants, and he had the hood over his head. How does it was just going off with a hat? I think he had a hat.
Yeah.
So he had a hat on with a hoodie, with these gray pants, with some tennis shoes, looking like broke down and broke. That's what he looked like. Now the girl, on the other hand, she wasn't all that trash. She was kind of heavy set, and she didn't look like
her hair wasn't combed.
Her hair wasn't combed, and she wasn't kept.
She wasn't well put together.
No, and the girls, you know, the little girl, probably the little bitty girl was the cutest thing you ever want to look at.
Yeah.
And the little girl looked like she probably was from another guy because the little girl looked like she was from him. So, but I mean, he wasn't the best looking Negro in the world either. Excuse the word, Negro, but the best. He was a black guy. So they were black, both of them. So what happened? We actually witnessed this event. So we went. My wife finally came and sat in the car, and we was talking about how he was going off, and then next thing they were walking off. So. He turns around, still mad.
Yeah, in her face.
Turns around in her face. Before he knew it, he done punched the girl.
In her head.
In her head.
All looked like.
Only thing that was impressive about that, and I didn't like it, but the only thing I was impressed was she took that lick and just kept walking and kept following him.
Behind him.
Just kept
how
following
somebody
him.
gonna bust upside your head and you gonna still walk behind him?
She on her phone. She got back on her phone and then she kept walking behind him. He had the little girl and then he would walk toward her. She'd back up. He would walk. It went on like this for like maybe till we left because we kind of watched to make sure he don't beat the girl to the ground. But he didn't just hit her at one time, but that was enough.
Yeah.
That been it for me. I mean, one time.
I'm not going to follow behind you.
No.
I ain't gonna say what I'm gonna. Cause y'all gonna think I'm a whole total different person. If I say somebody hit me upside my head, honey, what I have in my purse? No.
The story would have been different.
No, like she took that box cutter out.
That story would have been totally different. So
and let him out.
Yeah, he'd have
been a mess.
They'd have been some slow singing flower bringing with that brother. I'm telling you.
And that was that. And I think really what got me because she followed behind him.
She followed behind him.
He hit her, and she
kept walking behind him.
She walked behind him, and I'm like,
yeah.
Well, so we was like, well, should we call the cops?
Yeah, we was like,
and then he hit her again, and she followed behind him again. So
yeah.
I say, well, if we call the cops, she might not even.
She won't
file charges because a lot of times.
And said I said if I'd have got her and tried to protect her, she would have fought me and him.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of relationship that codependency. Yeah. It's like she depends on him, and he's not the one doing the stuff. He's not the one taking care of them. And a lot of times they get like that when their esteem, as you can tell, she probably had low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And when a person's self-worth is wrapped in the other person's, they're gonna act like that.
Yeah.
They get and then they're extremely jealous. We had a couple that we went to church with. That woman was extremely jealous of him because she felt like her self-worth was wrapped up in him.
Exactly.
And she would literally fight you over this man.
Yeah.
You couldn't talk to him. No woman could talk to him. There was only one or two women she really did trust around her husband.
Yeah.
And
everybody else, she
almost flipped out on one of the ministers in her church who was known to try to holler at other people's husbands because she tried to holler at me.
Yeah,
she almost beat that woman.
She had that coming.
She had that
a little bit. Yeah, you don't do that.
You don't do that.
That's disrespectful and everything.
We're gonna talk about all that stuff later.
Yeah,
too.
we're gonna stay on the topic.
Yeah, we're gonna stay on topic, but. The next one is, and I'll have to look these definitions up, but that's a top. You don't want to have that kind of relationship. Codependency, don't be codependent. Be either independent or interdependent, and we're going to look at these definitions. Okay. Did you lock up on me? Yes, you did. Oh, no, you didn't. We're going to look up independent and get a definition. Because I want to get, and my fingers are big. Independent. All right, independent. I don't know why I'm doing this. Just pick it up. All right, and this is my wife. Not influenced.
Let me ask you something.
Excuse us, that ads.
Thank you, Google.
This ads, anytime you
now Google they put
ads on
every
everything.
app.
Yeah.
So thank you, Google. We appreciate you
apologize
for that.
Yeah. That's Google's apps and ads.
Yeah, you blame Google for that. Thank you again, Google. We appreciate you for putting out ads and apps now, so you get a little change. Jesus, they might take us off Google Play. I don't care. So anyway, all right, independent, not influenced or controlled by others in matters of opinion, conduct, etc., thinking or acting for oneself, an independent thinker. So, not subject to one's authority, not subject to another authority or jurisdiction, autonomous, free. As a matter of fact, that's funny that it said that because that's what her name means.
Yeah.
It means free. Mm-hmm. Karen means free. So that's basically, she's living out this independence by her name. She was named free. So, not influenced by the thought or action of others, not dependent or dependent on contingent upon something else for existence, So that's what we're talking about, not depending on somebody else's for your self-worth or for relying on others for aid or support. There's a scripture we read that talking about being self-sustaining, not depending on being independent, not depending on the other. Amplified said that. They reminded me when I read that. It's like 9-10 definitions. It said, rejecting others' aid or support, refusing to be under obligation to others, possessing a competency sufficient to support a person without him having to work. Wow, independent income. Wow. Executing or originating outside a given unit, agency, business, etc., external, independent inquiry. Working for oneself or for a small privately owned business, independent, I guess. Expressive, God, there's a lot of definitions. Never mind, I ain't gonna read all that.
Ooh, yeah.
But it's a lot of definitions for independent. But the ones that really stands out, not influenced or controlled by others in the matters of opinion, conduct, etc., thinking or acting for oneself. And that's what you have to be when you're independent. You don't let other people think for you.
Right.
You think for yourself. And that's what codependents, they do the opposite. They let other people think for them instead of thinking for themselves.
Right.
And that's toxic relationships. But here's the thing. If you look at it, the opposite of that, of an independent person, is not subject to another's authority or jurisdiction. Because if you're too independent, you could be unsubmissive as a wife.
Yeah.
You cannot be obey authority as a person. You cannot obey your pastor because you figure, I'm a man just like him. He don't tell me what to do. That's independent acting.
Yeah.
You act like you don't need anyone.
Yeah.
That falls under pride. And that falls under and that when you get into the other back end of independence, that's pride. You feel like you can stand on your own, and selfishness and self-seeking and all this other stuff. So yeah, it has a negative side to it as well. But the one that we like to focus on, and then we're gonna we're gonna be pretty quick tonight. Interdependent. Then I'm gonna get into my text. I didn't want to get too much in the background of my text because I want to hit that later, but I'm gonna hit it after I give you the definitions. Interdependent. Is it? Okay, there we go. Now, interdependent is a different. It's the one that we all should have, as far as the body, as far as Christians. Interdependent means mutually dependent on each other.
Right.
And that's the only definition they give. Shit. Now we have about a bunch of definitions for independent, maybe a few for codependent, but on one definition for mutually dependent. So we all depend on one another, and the word says that we're supplied by what every joint supplies according to the body. So every joint supplies its own strength. So each of us have a strength that we supply to hold each other together. And that's why we have to endeavor to keep the unity of the spirit and the bond of peace, fight to stay together. So you have to strive to stay together.
That's true.
So the thing is that what we want us to be, we don't want to be codependent, depending on other people in an unhealthy way. We don't want to be too independent where we feel like we don't need God or other people.
Yeah.
But we want to be interdependent so that we can depend on one another and support one another and help one another by helping one another. The Bible talks more about interdependence. There's scriptures that talks about how that we should carry each other's burdens and so fulfill the love of Christ. How that every man should, they also talk about every man take his own load, but it's different situations when he said that. How we should love one another, and how we should submit to one another, how we should treat and talk to one another. It's an interdependence that we should have, a mutual dependence. That means that I depend on you, you depend on me. We balance the dependence.
That's it.
It's not that it's unhealthy where I don't depend on you and you depend more on me, and we uneven.
Yeah.
So that's where it's messed up.
That's where the strain come in.
Yeah. That's where the strain comes in. So if you're in a relationship where you're doing 100% and that person doing 0, that's toxic. And also it's poisonous because some people can come into your life and they would speak into your life negative stuff, and they affect you in these three areas. And one that we say your location. A lot of times the place where you are affects your relationship with God and with your destiny that God has for you. What he has for you, he has set, and he has a set plan for you. But a lot of times where you are has to change. Like a lot of people may have to change jobs. Some might have to change locations, physical locations. Some people might have to change churches. Some people might have to change friends, because if you have a friend in your life that you have more, I heard somebody say this. I'm gonna say this. You say if you're the smartest person in your group, then you need to get some new friends.
Exactly.
Because in a lot of cases, I had people that I could not relate to because they didn't know. We was talking about that earlier. There are certain things that I would study or read or do that normal guys of my race would not, unless they're educated in that field or just educated. I'm not saying that I'm that educated, because you looking at a guy that only got an associate's degree in computer networking, which I still ain't used. I use it for this, and so I went to school basically for this, just to do what we doing. But as far as, I dropped out of high school when I was in the 9th grade. I never had any major college, and then went no further with this degree. I was going to go my bachelor's this year, but we got so much going on that I wanted to wait. So, because I don't want to go sit in no classroom. I wanted to do it online and just get it over with. But the thing is, and my wife and I, we're not highly educated. A lot of what we learn from experience, and God taught us. Like, my wife didn't go to cooking school. She was taught to cook.
Yes.
Yeah. She has I call it the creative spark, which is what she passed on to at least one of her daughters. One of her daughters can draw real good. She hadn't used a gift in a while, but the girl bad. If she really just applied herself, she could have been really successful. You'd be surprised how much people pay for a painting or just a drawing or something. And they pay hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars for it. You could become an artist for a company, you could become an artist for anything, but people and she do hair. My wife passed that on because she does hair, and she has that particular type of gift, or that particular type of thing of creativity, where she could, and it flows through everything that she does. Our website is mostly her doing. Those pictures that you see on our website, which we have the website down here, Embracing Marriage Together.wordpress.com. She is doing the thing. That's cool. But Embracing Marriage Together.wordpress.com. You go there, you'll see all the artwork, you'll see the pictures. She's in the photo editing, and mine is more what I'm doing, audio and video and stuff. And she really inspired me to do a lot of it, because she basically had me create all this. She sits down beside, you don't know how stressful that is to have her sit down
on the side
of him saying, and I be wanting to do it one way, and she was like, she wants it, and believe me, she gets it the way she wants it. That's that independence, I'm telling you. And it come out good, it does. And I'm like, because I do have some kind of ability, I know balance and colors and pitch, different things like that, because I've done I did graphic design before, so I know how to put together certain things. So I know how to match everything where it don't look weird, and that's why you're looking at when you look at our actual window for our podcast, you see our picture on the side and see on us, and you see all the words and everything. I did all that, but I used that picture right there. That's her. I didn't use that. Now the OBS and everything that I did, I do all that, and I do all the photo edit and stuff like that if we need to. But all she created that on this. That what you see, she created that on this thing right here. She created all that photos. She created that website thing. She created The Be Right Back, the Starting Soon. She just, all I did was pull the pictures. She put the words and everything in it. She did all on her phone. You know, and that's good because I put a whole photo editing program on here, and she had to tell I don't use it, take it off. I said, okay, fine. I don't need to do it. You can go ahead. I don't want to just sit down sometime and want to edit something, you know. But she do it on phone. I said, cool. I mean, it stays face on the computer, and I don't use it, so I'm like. Now, all the audio, every audio, they say you keep all them. I think we do have one graphic creator. I think I kept GIMP. That's the only one I kept. But I had Adobe, was it Photoshop? Then I had something else, and I got for free, and then I kind of got a free version of it. And she was like, "No, we don't really need it. I do it also." Okay, fine. So I got rid of it. So I say I just didn't need. I wasn't gonna sit down and do it unless because she does it now. If they have something built in, like when we built our website, WordPress has a built-in. They do a theme, and you just build around the theme. So it was easy for us to do that. We put our own pictures in, and we did our own words and everything. So yeah, the thing is, let me do this second point, and then we'll go off. The second thing, like he said, he wants to leave. Number one, he wanted to leave where he was. So sometimes you're gonna have to change locations in order to get this blessing or this miracle or this thing that God has for you to do. Sometimes you gotta change locations. You gotta change churches. You gotta change houses. You gotta change jobs. You gotta change locations. Leave the country for your advantage. Sometimes it's for your advantage to leave.
Exactly.
Because it's for best you get it when you get out of it. So a lot of times the reason why you're not getting a lot of stuff is because you never leave. You just stay.
Yeah.
And you think it's coming to you in your location, it's not. So sometimes you got to change locations in order for it to happen.
Exactly.
So the second thing he told him, he said, leave your relatives. Leave all the people that will influence you and what God has for you to do. Because your relatives are your influence. The people that influence you, the people that tell you whether they're negative, positive. Sometimes your relatives can be toxic.
Exactly.
Your location can be toxic, and your relatives are toxic. Because they can tell you, oh, you ain't gonna never make it. We ain't never had nobody do that. We ain't never had this. When you say a sentence where we ain't never. Then we know we know something wrong.
Sometimes you have to, and that's a hard thing, because, even thinking about what you're saying, even thinking about Abraham, even though that's what we talking about. Yeah. Even with Sarah and his own son, and he had to even, Sarah said, cast out this bondwoman. Yeah. Because, what happened, I'm just trying to just paraphrase and make it short. What was going on with them.
Oh, you're talking about Hagar.
Yeah, her.
Yeah. But here's the real kicker. He brought somebody with him that he wasn't supposed to bring. And he ended up having to separate from him anyway, which was Lot, his brother Haran, who was the city that he come out of, was named after his brother. His father Terah stopped in Haran. And Haran was a place of memory, a place where you get stuck. Yeah. And you get stuck in a place of memory. You get stuck in a place of not forgetting. You get stuck in a place of just memorial. So it was a memorial to his dead son. Yeah. So basically, he got stuck there and died there. And Abraham, after Terah died, God spoke to Abraham and said, "It is to your advantage that you go." That's basically what he told.
So it was like he had to get a lot of people, from around him.
Yeah,
because it was because
Sarah,
because Sarah, it was what's.
Well, he didn't bring anybody.
No, he didn't bring him. But I mean, just as the story go on.
Well, no, only person he had to separate from was Lot and Hagar. Yeah. That was the only people he had separated during his journey.
Yeah, that's the two I was talking about.
But the toxic relationships that he actually had to separate from was his father first. Well, his father was dead, but his relatives of his father was probably what God was referring to. And he was still under his father's authority because he was the oldest son. So therefore he was saying, okay, and the third thing he had to do is he had to get from under the authority and establish his own authority. He had to quit being codependent and start being independent. Because now he was interdependent because of the fact that he was around his family. But now he has to become independent and be the head of his own house. Because God was separating him from his own family so that he could be able to be independent. So a lot of times God will separate you from people in order for you to grow into independency.
Yeah.
Instead of you being codependent or dependent. Because like I say, you can become dependent on people so much that you can't function. That causes you to be codependent. So, but you want to either be independent so you can be able to stand on your own, and interdependent so you can be able to have a mutual dependence with someone in your life, mainly your spouse or mainly the closest, those that are close to you in, in ministry or in life or whatever. Because there are going to be people that you're going to be in a community of people that you're going to be codependent with. Well, not codependent, but interdependent with.
Yeah.
Y'all going to depend on each other. But mostly in this in marriage, there's interdependence. I depend on her, she depends on me.
Exactly.
And so it's a mutual dependence. And that's where you should be in your relationship with God. God, he doesn't need to depend on you. You need to depend on him. So you're dependent upon God. And then by you dependent on him, you can be interdependent with one another.
That's true.
So we're going to continue the toxic relationships because I want to really break down these areas. Because you got people that are toxic in these areas, and I'm going to deal with some subjects and examples in the Bible of toxic people.
Yeah, because I like to call them like snakes.
Yeah.
You know how when the snake bites you and how it puts this poison and that venom in you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can tell when somebody done been around somebody toxic is like, I call it like they've been snake bitten.
Yeah.
How somebody's done bit them and this, we're going to get, like I said, we're going to get into that
we're going to talk about that, how it affects you physically. We're going to pull up an article or a clip or something on toxic relationships and kind of give you an idea of what we're going to make this interesting for you so you can be able to really enjoy this. So we hope that you enjoyed this podcast, and we want you to join us again later. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, share, subscribe. Chime in, let us know what you think of the podcast, kind of give us an idea. If you looking at it, if you're looking at this, also listening to this on Podbean, you have an opportunity if you would like to be a patron. You can be a partner with us, a patron, which will give you the ability to be able to support us financially. You can go to patron.podbean.com. You can go there, you can click, or you can go to our website, Embracing Marriage Together, WordPress.com, and the post is going to have a post talking about a new way to support us. You click on that link, it's going to take you to the patron, becoming a patron page. You click and give it the amount you want to click. It's going to give a little small setup. You just click it, and it's going to, you tell how much you want to support every month. You can support every month, every week, however way you want. No amount is too small. Now, under $1, they ain't gonna do under $1. So, you do $1, that's cool. Under that, they ain't gonna take 50 cents, 75. Come on now. we I heard on a movie one time, I think it was Coming to America, I said, we appreciate the money that jingles will be like the kind that bends. That was nice when she told him that. Yeah. And that's what we do. We appreciate the change, but we want the bending kind. We want the one you can fold. So, we want to be able to do more of this for you and to be able to come live with our podcast on twitch.tv. We want to be able to come with our YouTube. We want to be able to come with the podcast on Podbean. We want to be able to share these on these different platforms so you can be able to be engage with us, and we want to build us a community. That's what we're about. So we thank God for you listening to us and looking at us on this video. Go to our webpage again. Go to our website, Embracing Marriage Together, embracingmarriagetogether.wordpress.com, and check out all the different platforms that we're on. And let my wife say her last word, and then we're going to get out of here, and we're going to see you on the next time.
And as my husband has taught on tonight, We are standing together as one.
Amen. Being dependent upon God and interdependent on one another.
Good night.
Good night. God bless you.